sounds like an odd thing to say, but single people spend just over £2,500 more a year than those that are coupled up. On average, they have just £42 left at the end of the month, about £340 less than coupled up individuals. Let's take a closer look at some of the stats this is from financial services company Hargreaves Lansdown. Single people spend 22% more on things like their rent, mortgages, alongside other things like council tax and energy bills. Most councils do offer a single person discount, but there is speculation that the government would like to scrap that. What would happen then? Then they spend 28% more on food costing, almost £600 more per year. That's more per year, particularly because it's down to them not being able to bulk buy things or buy things on discount, buying family packs, that sort of thing. And then you've got broadband and phones. They're on 32% more, because that is quite an expensive bill monthly, so phone and internet plans. This is because they don't have anyone to share these services with. So is it only fair that actually we should be paying single people more to offset those costs? Now, Nelufar, you are not single, you are coupled up and now officially married, so I'm afraid you wouldn't get any of these wage hikes, but would you be pro them?
Yes, yes, and yes again. Let me explain why I'm doing myself out of some money. I remember being single. Can I just add one more thing that perhaps we're not... Are we all in relationships here? Are we all coupled up?
Well, I certainly am, quite significantly.
So, it's complicated. So here's the thing, and I will die on this hill. I will genuinely die on this hill. Dating in itself, trying to not be single and be in a committed relationship, has its own tax. You got to pay all the apps. You got to get dressed up. You got to go out and
Makeup,
go on first
hair,
dates. Got to go to the pub. Got to pay for that £9 pint. Oh, none of that is included in your cost of.
We've got to pay for the meal.
You've got to. Sometimes I'm frothing at the mouth. Here's the thing. I genuinely do believe. Listen, if single people were a voting bloc, if they saw themselves as a voting bloc, like pensioners do, like, you know, the right does, or whatever anti-immigration people do, they would have way more power than they do. Single people are categorically, with the stats you've proven and with what we've just heard, they are absolutely taken advantage of, and they must be, and I'm not saying that this has to come from like mine and your coffers. There shouldn't be taxpayers' money that goes into paying.
It should be employers.
It should be employers. Do you know what else? Do you know what else single people do? Do you know what else? They stay later. They come earlier. They'll volunteer. They'll put their hand up when they need to.
They don't take time off for childcare or pregnancy or maternity. Or maybe they do, I don't know. I mean, who knows what all the rules would be.
The point is they need it. They need it, and it should be given to them.
Christian, I'm going to get your view right after the break, but I'm going to put everything on pause now because we have to take a break. We're taking your calls on this after it. But let's get back to whether single people should be paid more. You can let us know your thoughts on this, 0207 862 2222. Now, we heard from Nelufar, very pro it, thinks this is a great idea. Christian, your status is complicated and we'll leave that where it is. It doesn't matter anyway. Do you think single people should be paid more?
It's a bit of a loser thing to moan about, really. I think.
Is it?
I just think either get a relationship or, as I just live with friends. The alternative to being in a relationship is not living alone. By the way, that is insanely expensive. I could never afford to have a one-person flat in London. So I've got two housemates, and that then helps with some of the bills. And although it doesn't help with some of the other aspects, I agree. Food waste is mad because you make a recipe and you have to buy 6 carrots and you only need 2, and then the 4 rot in the back of the fridge for the next month. But I also think, there would be a number of downsides here, not least a major disincentive for companies to hire single people, which is then going to make their lives even worse. Why would you, as a company, hire someone that you've got to pay more when you could just hire someone in a relationship and pay them less? So I don't think on a practical level, in fact, it might even backfire and make things worse for single people.
It could end up making people lie as well, that are in relationships and say that they're single even though that they're not.
Just go and buy
not
a
that doesn't
ring.
happen already. Maria from Nottingham, what's your view on single people getting paid just that little bit more to help them with the extra expenses?
Well, I see it from both ends, because I'm a pensioner, but I'm talking about the youngsters now. Yes, because when you do live on your own, it costs you more. And, I mean, when you're younger, you perhaps can go and get a partner, but you don't want to just go and get a partner or somebody to live with you to help with the bills. You would like to have somebody to live with because you want to live with them. But yeah, it is difficult. One person paying everything. As a pensioner, I can see it. It's one wage or one pension. If you've got a partner or two or three of you sharing, it's different. So yeah, if you're living on your own, it is very difficult to pay everything.
But Maria, instead of paying single people more, Christian says you just get housemates, get people to live with, and then you're sharing the broadband, you're sharing the mortgage and the rent. Nelufar's looking repulsed by this.
Can I just say, I was going to shout, I was going to interrupt you and I didn't want to, but you must have the best housemates ever. I've lived with people that I have loathed, who have loathed me in return, who are dirty, disgusting, who have very, very odd ways of living. So you must just have like the best housemates ever. But Maria's right.
The trick is to get your best friend from sixth form and your best friend from uni, so you can play divide and rule and win every dispute.
Oh, this is okay. So now we're getting into
my trick.
No, you can't expect people to just. I mean, it's not fair. You should be able to have have your own house and things. And it's the cost. It's the other thing is, it's the added cumulative cost. It's 20% here, 30% there, £5 here, 20 quid there. At the end of the year, you said they're £340 worse off.
No,
than a
at the end of a month.
Oh my God!
I mean, it's significant. It's 2,500, I think, at the end of a year.
Something needs to happen.
Maria,
can't go on.
Thank you very much for your call. We're going to speak to another Maria in Kent this time. What's your thoughts on single people getting paid that little bit extra?
Oh, yes, I completely agree. I'm a single person. I have been single for years, and all the policies that government have always been aimed at couples, all the policies.
I want to get the birth rate up.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, we need to get the birth rate up.
I think that's what the government are trying to do. Yeah, I think.
Well,
so.
But then it's actually, I actually feel discriminated against actually for being single, because every benefit, even at work, having children, having time off, which is fair enough. I don't want to take those away, but we as single people, we have to pay far more for food, like your graph. I can't hear you. I'm looking at the television, and for that gentleman there to get your friends. I'm 55. I'm not going to go into student accommodation and rent out my other rooms. So he's actually been absolutely ridiculous.
I can understand your feeling, and you're coming across very passionate, which is great. But your complaint has been with the government. Do you think it is an employer's responsibility? Because what we're talking about is increasing a wage for a single person. Would you like to see more tax breaks for single people, or more tax benefits, or do you think it should be incumbent on the employer to level up the playing field?
No, not on the employer, because they won't. If they're spending more money. I work for a company. Every penny is, penny pinching, and most companies will be like that. They won't put those policies in themselves unless it comes from government.
They might actually just stop employing,
legislation.
Or they stop employing people like yourself, which would be a disaster. Maria, thank you very much for your call. Jean from Cheshire, where do you stand on this?
Well, I think possibly a better tax relief for single people. I don't think it should be put on employers. But I found over the years, single people are very, very penalised. For example, if you're booking a hotel, you have to pay a huge supplement. Also, the council tax. I've been single for many, many years. I've always felt pretty peeved that I was only getting 25% discount. Well, really, it should be 50% if you're on your own. So, yes, I think single people do get a raw deal.
OK, so let's talk about the sort of things that could be put in place. We're talking about 50% reduction in council tax, when we're actually hearing whispers that the government might want to get rid of that reduction in its entirety. Are we talking about a percentage off maybe at the tills of your supermarket?
Well, no, not really. I don't think that would help.
What would help then?
Well, I'll say a reduction for working people, a reduction in tax.
Income
would
tax.
help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, it's an idea. Nobody else has posed it. I quite like new things. Jean, good idea. Thank you very much for your call. Ria from Gloucestershire, how would you feel about a reduction in income tax for single people? It's an idea I've never thought about before.
Well, yes, it's an idea, but I just think that this could open up a big can of worms, because it's, you know, I know the question says single people get higher wages, but then what about pensioners that live? They're single and they live alone, and they're just getting the one pension. Yeah, I think so, because you know I know many friends that they have the same outgoings as I've got, but they've got 4 pensions. They've got 2 private pensions, 2 state pensions.
Well, we can't really include the private pensions in this. I don't think we have to just talk about the state pensions, because that's really all the government would have control over. But don't you already get... So if you're a single person living alone, don't you get a bigger pension than if you're coupled up and divide the pension that you get in 2?
I've got to be honest, Storm. I will admit and put my hands up to this. I don't really know.
I think you do get a slight uplift. Now, I might have that wrong, and if you're watching and I've got that wrong, I am so sorry. But when I've looked at the numbers, that's what I've seen. And I thought that kind of makes sense for all of the reasons that we've seen above. But whether that affects the working person and whether they should get a similar sort of uplift is the question that we were debating. And it turns out that quite a lot of you think that actually there does need to be some help for single people out there. Ria, thank you very much for your call. Thanks for all your calls on that.